Hello everybody, I'm JackieKCooper, and today I'm going to do like I did a week or so ago. I'm going to tell you a story. Y'all have been sending me your comments on different things, and you say, tell me about your life, tell me about your childhood, whatever. Well, this wasn't necessarily my childhood, but this was back in 1982 in that area. So I was 40 years old. I had moved my family to California and was living in a small town, not a small town, but medium-sized town called Redlands, California. I was working for the Air Force Audit Agency as a personnel director, and we had arrived in California. California had been a dream of mine. I'd never been there. Growing up, I talked about, someday I'm going to California. I had a friend I talked to, and she and I would say, someday we're going to California. California was the big dream. Hollywood, getting to see things that went on there. Not to be in the movies, but just to be there. And back in 1980, I got a job offer, and it was in California. I accepted the job, moved my family out to Redlands. Both sets of parents had fits. What are you doing moving to California? You're taking our grandchildren to California. Yeah, but it's California. And our friends here in Perry, where I live now, we were living there at that time, couldn't understand why I was doing this, but it was California. I wanted to go to California. That's what I wanted. So we got to California. I got into my job, found a church, made friends, and then I decided, I think it's 81 or 82, that I wanted to be on a quiz show. I'd watched quiz shows growing up. I'd seen them all, Jeopardy, all that sort of stuff. And so I told my wife, I said, I want to be on a quiz show. And we lived maybe 80 miles from Los Angeles. And so it was possible to drive there and take part in it. So I asked somebody, and they said, well, the Sunday Los Angeles Times usually has a whole pages of, if you want to be on a quiz show, this is the way to do it. So I got a copy of the Sunday LA Times, found that section, and it said, if you would like to be a contestant on a quiz show, call this number. So I called that number and got an answer, and they said hello, and I said, hey, I'd like to be on a quiz show, and they said, okay, come to such and such a place in Hollywood, go up to the 6th or 7th floor, and there'll be somebody there to instruct you as to what to do. So I drove down to Los Angeles, went to the address, went up to that floor. As I got off the elevator, there was a receptionist there, and I said, I'm here to be on a quiz show. And she said, go into that room over there. And so I opened the door, went in the room, and there were like 50 people in chairs sitting there, all wanting to be on a quiz show. And so I took my seat, and eventually somebody came out and they said, all right, we're going to pass out these general information tests. Fill out your name, your occupation, and then take the test. And so they passed it around, and I look over at the guy, it's in between two guys, I look over at one guy, and he's written down his name and his occupation. He was a nuclear physicist. At least that's what he put down. Then I look over at the other guy, and he'd written his name down. He was a stripper. So I'm sitting between a nuclear physicist and a stripper, and what is my occupation? I'm a personnel director for the Air Force Audit Agency. And I thought, that's kind of bland compared to these two. But anyway, they gave us this test, general information. They'd ask you, a question, and you pick what you thought was the right answer. I don't know if they even graded the things in truth, but they gave us like 10 minutes to take the test. Then they came back, took up all the tests and said, okay, we're going to go look at these and come back. So they go out and then they come back, and this is the truth. 10 minutes later, they say, all right, we are going to call out some names that we want you to stay for our second meeting. The rest of you, thank you so much for participating. We appreciate your coming down, but only the 10 names stay. Now, what they based that on, I don't know. Maybe it was a test. Maybe it was just, maybe they had hidden cameras that looked at us. I don't know. But they started calling out the names, and this is the absolute truth. They called out the first name, second name, third name, fourth name, fifth name, sixth name, seventh name, eighth name, ninth name, my name, JackieKCooper. And so people were really mad. I mean, you could hear them. We took off work, we came down here, and now we're being sent home. This isn't fair. I did good on that test. I know I did good on that test. I mean, they were angry, but they left. And the 10 of us were there, and they said, okay, what we want you to do now is do like a 2-minute monologue. That wasn't something new to me. But they said, just get up, tell us about yourself, and, don't go, we'll give you some, show you when your 2 minutes are up, and wrap it up and sit down. So the first guy was a woman. This woman got up, and she had some fantastic story about, what she did in California, and I thought she was funny. She was really good. And I'm sitting there thinking, what can I say? What can I say? What can I say? And so the next person got up, and then I was the third person. They said, okay, JackieKCooper, tell us about yourself. And so I told them, I said, that I was from Georgia originally, and, lived in California. I was personnel director at the Air Force Audit Agency. And then where this came from, I don't know. But I said, I was living in Georgia, and Jimmy Carter got elected president. And, I really, really liked living in the state where the president of the United States was from. So then the next election, Ronald Reagan was elected. He's from California. So I moved my family to California because that's where the president of the United States was from. And who knows, in 4 years, we're going to be probably moving somewhere else. That was it. People laughed. They thought it was funny. And I thought, well, at least I came up with something. And so I took my seat, and then the rest of them gave their stories. And it was through. They said, okay, thank you very much. We appreciate you participating. We will get back in touch with you if we want to move you forward in the process to be on a show. They still hadn't even said what show. And they said, if we want to continue with you, but, if you don't hear from us, then thank you very much, and we appreciate you taking part. And we all went home. I went back up to, Redlands and went on with my life. And then, like 3 weeks later, I get a call. And it said, can you come back down to the same location where I'd been before, and we want you to meet with the producer of the show. And I said, what show? And they said, The Joker is Wild. Now, I don't know if that show, I don't think it's on anymore. But back then, it was a well-known show. So I go back down and go to the receptionist, tell them what I'm there for. And she said, okay, call somebody. Excuse me. And he comes over and he said, okay, we're going to take you in. And this, is one of the, producers of the show. And, just wants you to go in and talk to him. But make sure you tell him the story about living in Georgia and Jimmy Carter and moving to California and Ronald Reagan, and play up your accent. That'll be good if you do that. So I go in, meet the guy. He asks me several basic questions and says, why do you think you should be on the quiz show? And I said, well, let me tell you my story. I was living in Georgia, and I began to, oh gosh, ham it up with the accent. And he laughed. He thought that was funny. And then they thanked me. And as I was walking out the door, the guy who had escorted me in said, there's no guarantee, but, if we don't go any forward with you, we appreciate you coming down and taking your time to talk to, this guy. And if we decide we want to take you forward, then we will, get back in touch with you. So I was left again. I didn't know if they would ever call again, if they would ever say anything. But I'm going to end my story there for this part. This is going to be a several parter over the next few weeks. I'm going to give you different installments of this, of my trip to being on The Joker is Wild. But there are more segments to the story before I got there, and then what happened once I was there. But let me say this, in ending this part of the story, that took place in 1982, and when it was aired, I taped it, and I had it, and somehow somebody taped over it. This was back when we had VCRs and you recorded things off TV, and somebody recorded over my appearance on The Joker's Wild. So if you know anybody who has access to The Joker's Wild back in 1982, or if you ever get a chance to see it or know somebody who know how to do it, let me know, because it's out there, and I would love to see my performance on that show, because it's a lot of fun. I've got a lot more to tell you all about it. And it's one of those things that somebody told me, they said, I've never ever actually met somebody who was really on a quiz show. Well, this story ends up with me being on the quiz show. And we're going to have a lot of fun telling you about it. But I just wanted to get into that basic information today of my story of living in Georgia, and Jimmy Carter got elected, moving to California when Ronald Reagan got elected, and then what that set in motion and where we went from there. But for today, this has been Jackie K. Cooper, and I'm just telling you a story.